Welcome to Between the Shelves, the premier Save a Library podcast. And we are continuing our Pride Month celebration this episode by talking about some of our favorite LGBTQ creators of film, movies, and music. This week, I am joined by Kristina from Adult Services.
Hello.
Peter from Adult Services.
Hello again.
And Marianne, Head of Teens.
Hi.
Welcome back, everybody.
Thanks.
So I decided to have you all back because you were all in this room already when we started recording.
Oh, that's the only reason?
Didn't leave afterwards.
Also, we got, the fans demanded you back.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Okay, so again, I'm going to be talking about movies exclusively because I am a movie buff. So we're just going to do this in a round like we did the last episode. I don't mind starting off, unless anyone objects. So, Marianne, you want to jump in?
Objection, no?
Okay, so this first movie I want to talk about, or these creators, I should say. This isn't like one of my favorite movies of all time or anything, but I feel like it absolutely warrants a mention. These are the Wachowskis, the creators of The Matrix, their most famous movie. They're both trans women now, and Lily and Lena, I think their names are. When The Matrix came out, I mean, I was pretty young, probably 10 or 11, I want to say. So when I watched this movie, it was just a sci-fi action, crazy, awesome movie that I loved. And when I rewatched it as an older person and I was really more into film, I started digging into it a little bit more. And there are a lot of trans themes in this film. For instance, Neo, the main character, he is only referred to as Neo by himself and his friends or his allies, and the system or the bad guys, the agents, the conformists or whatever you want to call them, refer to him as Mr. Anderson. So they're kind of, I guess this is before like dead naming was a thing, but that's sort of what the Wachowskis were getting at with that. So I thought that was very interesting. Another like tidbit from it is in the original script, one of Neo's action buddies, I don't know, crew of the Nebuchadnezzar, their name was Switch, and the character would actually be male in the real world and female in The Matrix. So that was another pretty interesting like plot point that the Wachowskis weaved in, where your gender is kind of not what you're born with. I guess it's. No, wait, what am I saying? Do I have to restart? All right, this podcast episode is canceled. I think you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes, we do.
So I mean, it's a great movie. It definitely stands up. It's still a great action movie. If you don't want to read into it anything more than that, it's still fun to watch. But the Wachowskis, I think, absolutely deserve a mention on this episode, and I wanted to give a shout out to the Wachowskis.
Okay. What I want to talk about is a TV show on HBO. It's Los Espookys. It's a Spanish comedy show about these friends who start a business to like stage like hauntings and like cryptid sightings and things to help people solve their problems. And one of the stars of the show is Julio Torres, who used to write on SNL. And he just has like the strangest sense of humor. The entire show is very strange, but very funny. It's all in Spanish, so I have to watch it with subtitles. But just these friends like staging different, like one of them, I think they have to like stage a haunting because everyone thinks that this beauty queen isn't dead, but the cemetery where she's buried wants to host a haunting of her, so people stop with the conspiracies, and just like hijinks ensue from there. There's also like water demon that lives in one of their heads, and they talk to the moon a lot. It's just a very interesting show.
I love that show.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch it. Is it like a mockumentary style, or is it more? It's like actually just straight.
It's just like a straight
comedy, basically. Yeah. Okay. yeah, I got to check that out.
Sounds interesting. It's bizarre.
It is very weird. Okay, my first one is actually music. I been listening to this a lot when I go on my lunchtime walks, but this classic album, Actually by the Pet Shop Boys. It's on Hoopla, along with a bunch of their other albums, but Marianne at least will remember one of their big hits from that is What Have I Done to Deserve This?
Yes.
But
And also great plug for Hoopla, by
yes,
the way.
thank you. It's a great album straight through, but my favorite song on it, Pet Shop Boys also were a band it was a time in the 80s where, the songs weren't overtly about gay themes, but they were definitely, as they say, queer coded, and they were gay. So, but my favorite song on the album, and I see it as a kind of an anthem for queer people who grew up in religious households like I did, is It's a Sin, which is also on this album, was one of their singles. I wish I could go back in time and be old enough to be in like a gay club somewhere in the 80s when this came on, because it probably was amazing. But it also has a lot of really great songs on it that weren't singles. And their whole, they've got a lot of great albums. And it's not a lot else to say about that, but check it out. I wish I could play a clip. Maybe I should have prepared one. Maybe Alex, you could insert a clip of It's a Sin by the Pet Shop Boys.
Let's pause for that clip right now.
Yeah. Okay, Pet Shop Boys, awesome. Yeah, I totally remember Peter and I giving our ages away, but yeah, they were really great in the 80s. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is Heartstopper, because I spoke about the book series in last week's episode. So Heartstopper is on Netflix, and right now only season 1 is out, but season 2 is coming out in August, and I can't wait for it. It is based on the graphic novels that I spoke about last week, and I think that they did an amazing job with the casting for the series. And I know the author, Alice Oseman, I think is how you pronounce her last name. She is a part of the series, so she had a lot of say in it. The main characters, Charlie and Nick, are just adorable and perfect. They're just perfect, exactly how her illustrations were in the graphic novels. And the graphic novels, I think, are literally just brought to life in the series. Again, just like the books, it's just a very sweet, it's very heartwarming. You're just really rooting for them. And it's just really, really done well. Their acting is really great. All the kids, again, really diverse cast. And even if you haven't read the books, I think you should definitely give it a watch. They're short. I think they're only like 30-ish minutes each episode. And again, just like I said, with the books, like you feel like you're just witnessing first love all over again. And like, you just you're rooting for them, you feel for them. And it's just a really great series.
All right, so I got another movie here. All of my things are movies. So my next one is called, the title of the film is called Portrait of a Lady on Fire, and it's directed and I think also written by Celine Sciamma, I think is how you pronounce her name. This movie came out in 2019, and I think it's French. I think it's a French film, if I remember correctly. It was my second favorite movie that came out in 2019. It was only beaten by Parasite, and that's only because Parasite's the best movie of the decade. So, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, 5-star movie. Highly, highly recommend this. It's set in the 18th century, and it's the story of a portrait artist named Marianne, who is hired by a countess to paint her daughter, whose name is Heloise. And her daughter is obstinate. She does not want her portrait painted because she knows her mother is going to use it to send out to all the counts, I guess, or the royalty in France to try to, get her daughter married, basically, to find suitors for her daughter. So basically, Heloise has chased off all the other portrait artists, and the Countess knows this. So what she's done is hired Marianne to be Heloise's sort of servant or something. And then Marianne is supposed to basically be painting this portrait secretly. So that's kind of like the opening premise of the movie. But most of the movie is Marianne, the relationship between Marianne and Heloise, and I mean, it should be pretty obvious at this point. Heloise is obviously gay. She's a lesbian. Marianne turns out also a lesbian. So when you put them together in a beautiful castle in the French countryside, isolated, what's going to happen? So it's about their blossoming relationship, and so it deals, obviously that is a large theme of the movie, but it also deals with mental health. Heloise is grappling with other things in her life. So it's a fascinating drama. It's a great romance film. It's beautifully shot, beautifully written. I can't recommend it highly enough. Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Celine Sciamma is the director and writer, and I think she has, if not a sequel, like a spiritual sequel planned that might even be coming out in 2023 very soon. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
I'm sort of going to recommend an entire streaming service. So
Is that allowed?
Let me see how much time we have.
So the streaming service is Dropout, which if you've listened to episodes that I've been on before, I've talked about. So it is what College Humor became after College Humor went bankrupt. And they do a wide range of shows. They do an actual play D&D show. They do a couple of game shows. And most of the creators that are involved are they're queer comedians, just different queer content creators. A lot of the same ones go between episodes. There is a nerdy trivia show on there. But I think the best one is Game Changer, which is a game show where the game changes every game and the contestants don't know what the game is going to be. And in this most recent season, they did a Bachelor type episode for one of their regular employees, Grant O'Brien, who identifies as bi. So they got 10 or 12 men and women to come do this show for them. The episodes are only a half hour long, but I assume that they are much longer shooting. But they did very quick 30-second dates. And it was just a very cool take on a queer dating show, which there aren't too many of out there, but Grant is in most of their content along with a bunch of other queer content creators, and they're a very supportive company, and it's really great to watch all the time. Very funny.
I've seen the D&D show at my friend's house. All right, it's my turn again. I'm gonna do another music recommendation. This time it's a band, Magnetic Fields. Main guy Stephen Merritt's a gay man, and some of their later albums are on Hoopla. I checked, and not my favorite ones are the earlier ones that don't happen to be on there, but the late ones are good too. But I think the best way to describe Magnetic Fields, at least their early albums, is synth pop Cole Porter. They have the lyrics are just really clever and witty, and there's just Stephen Merritt's a genius with a turn of phrase. And my favorite of their albums is called Get Lost. It's the most synth pop of all of their albums, but all their albums are really good. Later in their career, they kind of went to more acoustic instruments, banjo and everything. And their album 69 Love Songs, which was like a 3 CD set, is the year it came out, which I don't remember the year, is a really big. It was on top of a lot of best of lists, but just to give you kind of an example of, it's particularly because it's synth pop. A lot of the earlier albums have sort of morose lyrics too, even though. But like one of my favorite lyrics of theirs from their song "100,000 Fireflies" is, "You won't be happy with me, but give me one more chance. You won't be happy anyway."
Second Magnetic Fields. Every time I talk to Peter, I have to like write a note to myself of like a band I haven't listened to in a while, and I have to add them to my playlist. So the song that popped in my head was "Strange Powers" by Magnetic Fields, which I think was a documentary. I think there was a documentary about the Magnetic Fields, and that's how I discovered them. It was like a weird route to me discovering them as well.
They've done some soundtracks to movies too, so that might be why.
Maybe, yeah.
That sounds like a way you would have.
I second the Magnetic Fields, though. All right, Marianne.
So you guys have all like such great, things that you're discussing, and I'm going to go with something that's very mainstream. I'm going to talk about Schitt's Creek because that's one of my favorite shows, and I have watched it like 8 times, the whole series. I think it is just one of the best shows out there. There's short episodes. Has everybody here seen Schitt's Creek? We're all Schitt's Creek people. Okay. I just love the story of David and Patrick. I think it's just like one of the sweetest relationships that were ever put on TV that we could watch. It's very sweet. It's very innocent. I love that, Patrick comes out later on in his life, and one of the lines he says to David was, about their first kiss, that, it felt like my first time. It felt like my first kiss. And he was with a girl before that. So it was just like, when you meet the right person, you meet the right person. And I love how Dan Levy, who created the show, wanted to make a show where, being queer was just, it wasn't a big deal. It was just, here we are, we're kissing hello, we're kissing goodbye. Like, you don't have to make a big deal of it. There's no drama. There's nobody fighting us. Like, we're just a relationship in a show. And I think they did a really great job with it. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think of a quote or say a quote from the show, see a meme, use a GIF to send to somebody. I mean, I feel like it's just in my everyday life. And if somebody hasn't seen it, I know there's some people out there that were like, oh, I just couldn't get into the first episode. I think you have to give the whole first season a try. It's really, really good. It's really, really heartwarming. And all the characters evolve, and it's you feel like you're growing with them.
Yeah, great comfort show. I can see why you rewatch it. It just makes you feel good to watch it.
It is one of the top
I co-sign the give it a chance, because like a lot of shows, the first season you're kind of finding what the show is.
Footing.
So be patient with it. It's worth it.
It is worth it, yeah.
All right, time for Dusty Alex to pull another one off the shelf. So if there's a theme, I guess, with I was looking at this from more like the creator, perspective. So I'm highlighting some of my favorite directors. So this is another film. This director's name is Yasuhiro Ozo, and the film is called Tokyo Story. So this is one of my favorite films of all time. I have a top 100 movies, my personal top 100 movies of all time list that I regularly update every 6 months or so. And this one's been on it probably since I saw it and remains there. It was made in 1953, and it is the story of an elderly couple visiting their children and their widowed daughter in Tokyo. And it's set right after World War II. And it's not a plot-heavy movie. It's very focused on relationships, particularly like generational relationships. So the grandparents are, obviously from a time before the westernization of Japan. That's what they're seeing. All the young people are flocking to the city. Everyone's very busy, independent. They're not spending times with their families, things like that. So you're kind of watching the movie from the grandparents' perspective, and how really all they want is to just spend time with their children, but their children are so busy with their, the hustle and bustle of modern Japan, and they keep kind of like pushing aside their parents. And it's a very slow paced film because it's all from the perspective again of the grandparents. So there's lots of it's very like meditative and reflective. There's lots of shots of nature to do like the scene transitions and things. The camera is very static. It holds on silence, but it's revolutionary for its directing techniques, and it's just a wonderful story. And it's one of those like timeless stories where you can watch this 100 years from now, or you could watch it when it came out, and it really kind of tells you like what human nature is about, what's really important, and it's just a fantastic story. It's if it was a book, it would be regaled as like a classic literature book that everyone would read. But I really, really recommend it. And if you're looking for something really plot heavy or with a lot of, fast things that are moving around, it's not for you, unfortunately. But the dialogue, the character development, everything is really, really great. I very, very much recommend that movie. That's what I got. Sorry.
Don't be sorry. It sounds
I'm kind of I'm like the speed bump in this episode. Like everyone's like got these great sci-fi comedy shows, and I'm like, well, let me tell you about.
So my next one is What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show, which is based off of the movie by Taika Waititi. So it is about a bunch of vampire roommates who live in Staten Island, sort of trying to adjust to modern life very poorly. Also, one of them has a familiar, Guillermo, who is also a vampire slayer. And there is, he is, at the beginning of the series, sort of promised that Nandor will make him a vampire. So his growth over the show is trying to become a vampire, but also he has like a kind of a slow burn romance with Nandor. Most of the characters are just love very freely all throughout the show. I don't know how to say that politically correct. It's very funny. They, at one point they get like an email, like one of those old, like, if you don't pass this along, you'll be cursed for like, 10 years or whatever. And, they're all vampires. They're like, oh no, this is real. How do we have to send this to 10 people, but we don't know 10 people. And like just all of like the hijinks that come from being someone who is hundreds of years old living in the modern world.
Love that show. Good one, Kristina.
It's one of the funniest shows on TV. Matt Berry plays one of the vampires. He is one of the funniest people on the planet. I will watch anything with him.
Jackie Daytona.
Yeah.
Human bartender.
Did you watch Our Flag is Death too?
Our Flag Means Death, yeah.
Or Means Death, yeah.
Yes.
Another good one.
I thought that was going to be your fourth thing.
I mean, I like the show, but was sitting here like, maybe I should talk about it, but then I couldn't remember the main character's name, so I was like, maybe I don't actually like it that much. So
I don't
That's
remember
like
the characters' names from anything I watched. So.
Taika Waititi plays Blackbeard, like yes,
Yeah.
and then the other one is like the gentleman
And the
pirate.
protagonist.
Whatever.
It's the
Reese
guy from
Darby.
the What We Do in the Shadows movie.
Yeah.
Great show.
All right. My next one is a TV show also. It's Somebody Somewhere. It's on HBO. Or Max, I guess it is now. There's no more HBO. But it's a story of a woman. It's played by Bridget Everett. She's kind of a comedian, known for like doing kind of ribald comedy songs, which I don't really care for her that much as a comedian, honestly, but the show is amazing. It is funny, but it's one of those, they consider it a comedy because it's half an hour and it does have comic elements, but it's a lot more than that. It's, she moves back to Kansas, just on my last episode, a book about somebody moving back to Kansas, but her sister is dying of cancer, but the show starts after she has her sister, who she was close to, has just died. She's living in her house and she's just treading water and really sad. And she has this dead-end job correcting like standardized tests. And one of her first days at the place, there's another guy that's working there. Says, "Oh, hey, do you remember me?" Basically from high school, and she doesn't remember him, but he remembers her, and they just kick off a really beautiful friendship. And it's a really good example of a lot of gay men have a straight female best friend, and that's kind of what their story is. And it's the story of her kind of coming to terms with the loss of her sister, and there's some other things going on with her family. Her mom's an alcoholic, and during dealing with all that stuff, and their friendships blossoming, and it's just a delight to watch. And it can also be really sad, but I just really highly recommend it. There's very diverse characters. There's a trans farmer who, and kind of like Schitt's Creek, it's kind of they don't treat it like, it's a big part of the show, but
It's not like a plot point.
it's not a plot point, and it's like you meet this. He's a professor at the local college, a professor of agriculture, and the main character's dad, who is a farmer, is having problems, and he comes to help him with the farm. And this old 60, 70-year-old farmer from Kansas is now best friends with a trans man. And it's just a really fascinating show, and it's on its third season now. And I recommend it. Somebody Somewhere on Max.
The other show I wanted to talk about is The Conners. I love The Conners. I grew up loving Roseanne. I thought it was such a great show. It's so realistic. Then The Conners came, back, and of course I have to watch it. I think it's still really, really funny. And Darlene, who is one of the kids in Roseanne, she has a family now. So her son, Mark, on the show, when the show begins, when The Conners starts, he's a young boy, and he, is kind of questioning himself at a young age. And now I think we're 5 years into The Conners being around, 4 or 5. And so, he's a teenager now, but he's already come out as gay, and his family is very accepting. And I just love that there is a TV show on a major network that has a young gay character who dates. So, we meet some boyfriends during the series. And something else about this show that I love is that Darlene ended up working at the factory that they all worked at in Roseanne when they were when Roseanne and Jackie and what is it called? I forgot the name of it. Wellman Factory or something. Yeah,
I love Roseanne.
Yeah, see, okay, good. So, one of Darlene's bosses she's a trans woman, and they become kind of friendly, and she gives her some advice. She gives Darlene advice, and then she leaves the show. And on the show, they make it kind of because she's trans, she has to leave, I think. I don't remember like the exact reasoning, because they started
they were like whistleblowers,
okay,
for environmental pollution in the factory.
Yeah, and she had to leave so she leaves. But so now my side note is that I follow her on TikTok, and she's a really good TikTok person to follow. And her name is Alexandra Billings, and her whole TikTok is just how to be a kind human, and she talks about all the things that are going on in the world. She doesn't really get angry. She's fired up, but she doesn't really show it, and she's just like a kind, gentle soul that just wants everybody to be a good human. And I think she's just a really great person to follow. She's calming, very informative. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome.
I feel like I have to mention now again that I know Roseanne's mom.
And we talked about this. And I knew you were going to.
Anthony always telling me you always bring that up, but I just have to.
Anthony, if you're listening, you're correct, because the last time I was in a podcast,
he's not listening. Trust me.
You brought it up. Yeah.
All right, my last movie. So last week, as of the time of this recording, I was very sick, and I was couch-ridden for 2 days. So what I do when I'm couch-ridden as a movie buff is I start watching movies. So one thing I've always wanted to do was watch every single movie that is a Best Picture winner. So I figured, what better time than when I physically cannot move than to watch some silent films. So I went back to 1927 to start watching the Best Picture winners. So the movie I want to talk about is called Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans. It won the first and only Best Unique and Artistic Picture at the first Academy Awards in 1927. What, you mean you haven't heard of Sunrise, A Tale of Two Humans? Or A Song of Two Humans? It turns out the director, F.W. Murnau, was gay. His husband actually died in World War I. So that's a little tidbit. So this movie was fantastic. I've watched probably 5 or 6 now. I've started, obviously, with the first Academy Awards, and I'm working my way to the current day. So there have been some movies that are unforgettable. I would say this is one of them. There have been some movies that I wish I could forget. But this one, it's a silent film, as I said. And I would classify it as a romantic thriller. So the plot is, it takes place on the countryside. It's a farmer and a wife, and they have a small child. And this woman from the city comes to vacation in the countryside, and she becomes infatuated with this farmer. The farmer and this city woman have a little affair, and the woman from the city tries to convince the farmer to murder his wife and run away with her to the city. So she basically convinces him to do this, and as he's about to murder his wife, he has a change of heart, and he sees his wife in a new light, and he falls in love with her. So that's kind of like the first third of the movie. It's like a straight thriller. It's riveting. And then the second third of the movie is, obviously, his wife knows she's about to be murdered by her husband. Then the husband decides not to do that. So it's about the husband trying to woo his wife again, basically, and try to not only convince her that he's not a crazy person anymore, but he tries to, show her why they fell in love in the first place. So it becomes a straight romance for the second third. It's fantastic. I'm not really spoiling anything, but they go to the city. There's some fantastic sets, great scenes, especially for 1927. It's like amazing what they accomplished in 1927. So that's all great, right? Now the final third of the movie, they go back to the countryside, and who's waiting for them there? The woman from the city still, and she is still convinced that this wife needs to die. So basically, I don't want to spoil anything at that point, but it has a very dramatic conclusion. And this movie, for being almost 100 years old, like, had me riveted. Like, I was hanging on to, there are very few words because it's a silent film, the title flashcards or whatever they called them. But I was riveted. It's a great, great movie. Definitely recommend it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to some more Oscar.
Where did you watch that?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask that.
Where did I watch it? I don't remember. I'm sorry.
In a projector at home.
Yeah.
Google it, listeners.
You get it from the library. I'm sure we have it on DVD. Yeah, Sunrise: A Song of Two Humans.
Okay, I guess my final show is Steven Universe, which is a cartoon that's for children that aired probably in like the early to mid 2010s. And it's about these alien gems come to Earth to colonize it. But the person in charge of the colonizing basically falls in love with the Earth. And so she was like, actually, we shouldn't do that. And they sort of go like rogue. And in that time, she also falls in love with the human, and they have a baby who is Steven Universe. But unfortunately, his mother dies, who is the alien, and he lives with sort of like her retinue, I guess, and her and his dad, and it's just about him sort of being like half gem alien and learning to use his powers. There's lots of music in it. There are a lot of different queer characters in it. A lot of the gems are queer in different ways. And it's just like a kind of lighthearted show for the most part. It does get very dark. And there is like a sequel series where it deals with like the aftermath of like really traumatic events and stuff, but also very musical, and it's very cute, and it's like a children's cartoon. So like it's very, for the most part, lighthearted, easy to watch. The episodes are like 11 minutes long. Like it's like one of those like little ones, and they live in like a beach town, and like it's just very cute and wholesome to watch.
My last one is a film, Paris is Burning, a documentary film. It was directed by Jenny Livingston, and it's a documentary about the scene in the Bronx in the 80s. They were called balls, but it's basically where pretty much everything that's in modern drag today comes from. And basically, so what they would do is, there weren't places for them to do this, so they would rent out like halls in the Bronx, and they would have balls, and usually there would be a theme like executive realness, and they were supposed to dress as
executive attire.
And so different themes like that, and like all of the same moves you see drag artists do today are from these balls, and a lot of the slang comes from these balls. And it was in the Bronx, so it was mostly Black and Latino people, and gay and trans people, and so it goes through it. It shows you balls, and they have these different families that would kind of compete with each other. So there would be the mother, and their children would be one group that would compete against the other groups, and it follows the daily lives of a few of the people, and it's can be really sad, but it's fascinating. Some of the living on the street, and a lot of the people. One of the main drag mothers ends up like taking a lot of the people into her home and, you know, helping them get off drugs and everything. But so some of the stories are a little more positive and some of them are sad, but it's just a really great document of a time that became so significant. A few of the people who are in it were in the Vogue video by Madonna. That was where the moves they do, those were from the balls in the Bronx. So I really highly recommend it. It's a fascinating documentary.
Yeah, I second that. It is a great documentary. It's a fascinating look at like a micro culture, I guess, at that time and place. That it's really fascinating. And I'm trying to think of some of the other themes they were doing. I remember one of them was try to like act as straight as possible.
Yeah,
like, that was really interesting. That was an interesting one. And then the insult. What do they call it? Where they
reading.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's really funny. Like I don't know. It's a great documentary though.
Yeah.
So the last thing I wanted to talk about was another TV show, and I wanted to talk to Peter about it because the last time we were together, we talked about Ted Lasso. Did you finish Ted Lasso?
Yes.
So in Ted Lasso, one of the main characters comes out as gay. And the last time Peter and I actually even spoke about it, he had brought it up that, you know, I think they're gonna, one of the characters is going to have a storyline like that. So it came out. The series ended. At least I think the series is ending. But the season definitely ended. And this one character he struggled a bit. He was hiding that he had boyfriends, and then somebody with the team, not on the team, but an older gentleman who's writing a book about Ted Lasso's team, about the soccer team, sees him with another man. And so he eventually kind of confronts him, and then it comes out that this gentleman is also gay. And he's a very supportive person to the football player. His name is Colin Hughes on the show. He's very supportive of him. And then eventually it comes out altogether that he's gay. During another episode, the whole team kind of finds out. And they embrace him, and it's beautiful, you know, and one of his friends struggles with it, but not because he's gay. He struggles with like, how come you didn't tell me? And it ends like so wonderful. And, you know, this character Colin is kind of like, I want to, you know, when we have a win and everybody celebrates with their partner, like I want to kiss my boyfriend. And on the final episode where they win, the whole team wins, and you know, everybody's rushing out, like partners are rushing out and, you know, kissing the soccer players, and Colin is like looking out, and my heart like broke for a second, and I was just like, oh, he just wants to. And then his boyfriend comes out and he gives him a kiss in front of like the whole stadium, and it's just like a really beautiful ending.
I was gonna say too that that part you mentioned with the friend that has a hard time and is being mean to him. I think a lot of queer people probably relate to that, because it's like certain people, usually somebody that you're close to, will kind of make it about them. That, you know, they're mad that you didn't tell them sooner or whatever. But I found it infuriating to watch, but also kind of identified with how, you know, sometimes when you're going through something and, you know, that's difficult, people, I had people that reacted kind of like that. So that was interesting to see. I think probably for the first time on a TV show, at least that I've seen.
That's a good point, because I didn't think of it that way. And like he did. He made it all about him, and
he was being so mean.
He was being really mean about it. But it works out in the end, and it's all a happy ending. And it was just the way they played it out. I just thought it played out really, really well throughout the 9 or 10 episodes this season. It played out really well, and it's another feel good. That's it.
Yeah, it's a nice note to end the episode on. Yeah, good. I'm glad we didn't end it with my movie.
With another silent movie.
Well, thank you all again for joining me on this episode. Listeners, next episode we're going to be doing an episode to launch our summer reading club. So stay tuned for that, for some summer reading recommendations. Yeah. All right. Thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Bye.